Welcome to the Konecranes Agilon webinar. Good morning. Konecranes Agilon Automated Warehouse Solution webinar series continues with this, our third session here in the UK, where we have a number of Agilon systems in different kinds of application processes. Absolutely, the best way to understand Agilon possibilities and the benefits is to hear how Forward Industrial Products Group, as our example, overcame daily stock control headaches. Today, the webinar will be recorded, and recordings and presentation PDF will be sent to all the attendees later on. Today's webinar title is How to Handle Millions of Identical Parts. From Konecranes in the UK, you have myself. My name is Paul.nagy. I'm the General Manager for the Agilon business here. And today I'm also supported by Chris Mee, one of our UK crane sales managers, who will be co-hosting with me.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Chris. And our very special guest, Martyn Cleaver, Managing Director at Forward Industrial Products Group. Welcome, Martyn.
Good morning.
Good morning. So before we deep dive into the discussion, a couple of practical things here to cover. Today we'll be running a couple of polls. The first one will begin very shortly, and there'll be one further poll at the end of the session. So let's be active. Please do send us questions and comments in your Teams Q&A field. If we don't have enough time to handle all the questions immediately, we'll certainly handle them later on and send answers back to you with our thank you email. Once again, Martyn, thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to listening to all of your comments that you have. Please, would you just give us a quick introduction of yourself?
Yes, I'm Martyn Cleaver, Forward Industrial Products Group. We'll discuss our journey in a short while. We're based in and yeah, back to you, Paul. But shall I tell you how it all started? Because today is my I've been told by LinkedIn it's our 24th anniversary as we started it in May 1997, and I just found that out about 5 minutes ago.
Yes, so it's actually, that's very coincidental, because I saw that published on LinkedIn myself this morning. So congratulations on your 24th anniversary. But just before we do deep dive in, can I just advise the audience that we'll be launching our first poll now. So Larry, if you would be so kind, could you please start that first poll? And back to you, Martyn. Yes, please do tell us a little bit about your company, how it all started all those 24 years ago.
Okay, so as I said, we started in May 1997. We are located in Birmingham, based in the heart of the West Midlands. I took our name from the motto of Birmingham, which actually is Forward. So Forward Industrial was born these 24 years ago. Our turnover this year will be approaching 20 million. We currently employ around 55 members of staff on our 3 distribution sites. We also have a manufacturing site in Aston. So we have a distribution centre in Birmingham, a second distribution centre in Deeside, North Wales, one to cover the south in Hertfordshire, and the manufacturing plant, one of the last UK manufacturers of threaded Aston in Birmingham. We have recently opened a new site in the Czech Republic, which has been going about 12 months. So yeah, it's all going very nicely. Thank you, Paul.
Fantastic. That's it's amazing to see how much expansion you've managed to create over the last 24 years. So tell me, what are the key products and services you offer today, and what sort of industrial segments are you supporting?
Well, we started as a distributor purely of fasteners, and then we became a manufacturer of fasteners, mainly niche, non-standard fasteners. So to customers' drawings, very specialised products. Since then, though, we've moved on and we've incorporated turn parts, pressings, plastic parts, fabrications. we've added all of these into our profile. So we really have two sides of the business. Products that are used within what people make. So we'll bring in screws or plastic parts to be used in engines or cars or trailers or whatever. And then we have another side of the business which supports the manufacturing environment. So it supports the production lines. It supplies maintenance products to the production lines. That's the two sides of the business that we push in the main. Yeah. I would say that we're really heavily involved in second tier automotive manufacturers, large global companies, probably around 65%. Yeah, is automotive related. The rest of our business is made up of serving the construction industry, white and yellow goods. We find that most of our customers are global now, so we probably are exporting to nearly every country around the world. And I think we come into our own helping customers to find the most competitive source there are to our own customer specific designs and technical drawing. So we really are a global source in-house nowadays.
It sounds like a fairly busy, complex operation. So what kind of issues do you face handling so many, product types and different kinds of customers all over the place?
Yeah, good question, Paul. I could talk about a myriad of parts that we bring in, but if I can take a very specific problem we had as an example. Yes. Yeah, we had an initial problem of how to control. We've got a range of product that we call shims, which have 10 part numbers, and we have 70 to 100 variants within each part number range. They all look really, really similar, same material, same color, more or less the same diameters. The main difference is literally the thickness, which was 0.1 of a millimeter increments. Combine this with a usage of around 5,000 pieces a day or 1 million pieces a year, then that's where the real headache started for us. It presented loads of challenges. How do you store them? How do you pick them? How do my people pick them and ensure that they're the right product, even though could they be labeled up incorrectly? Because they all look the same to the untrained eye. Sure. Another problem we had to overcome was that we needed a really robust stock reporting system, as we didn't know what size of shim would be required until the final part of the assembly. So that meant that it was really hard for us to schedule figures. So the stock reporting system, to overcome that, was a major aim. Yeah. We used to have to track the usage continually, or we still do, within each range, so we can ensure we're constantly replenishing the stock that we use. We've run out and would stop production lines, and in automotive, this can't happen, as you can appreciate. So really it was purely about, in the first instance, handling those range shims. Sure. So okay. So I guess that really summarizes the title of today's session, how to handle millions of identical parts. So let me ask you the question, how did you first hear about Agilent? At the time, one of our very large global customers had been looking at Agilent, and it was one of their staff members that came to us and spoke to us and said, he knows the problems we face, and he said he'd been looking at Agilon and it might be suitable for our business. We contacted Konecranes and ended up talking to you, Paul, and we had a chat, and then we had a viewing. And at first, I thought it was another simple storage system, but I thought nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I soon realised the Agilon was far more than that.
Right, I understand. So, I understand, obviously, the considerations that you've just highlighted concerning the issues, but what were you looking for such a system to bring to your business?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to as I stated earlier, we had this problem with these shims that were over 100 variants of sizes per range.
Yeah.
And they were taking up too much shelf space. If you can imagine 5 or 6 racks, each 5 meters high by about 15 meters long.
Yeah.
It seemed to take over, just storing these seemed to take over about a third of my warehouse. My building serves its purpose, but it's an old industrial building.
Sure.
I didn't have the luxury of rebuilding or installing more racking because there just wasn't the space. So space was one of the main drivers. As I said earlier as well, another reason was having immediate correct stock figures. Incorrect stock information meant that I was always in danger of running out of product. And with production lines, they're dependent on use, so it really isn't an option. This actually comes more important at the moment when we have stocks delayed and we might be getting really close down to a zero figure. So, for instance, we had stocks recently stuck in the Suez Canal in the Ever Given ship, as we all saw on the news.
Yeah.
That delayed the ships behind it. And we've had issues with COVID. And so management of stock figures now is absolutely critical. Then we have human errors. So when we're picking products, as I say, if you're picking millions of parts that are exactly the same, picking and dispatching incorrect parts can cost us time and money if we get it wrong. And it will also have a knock-on effect with our quality rating. Should we deliver any parts that we've delivered incorrectly, So it was really time, money, space. They were the 3 real factors that are absolutely critical to the success of our business. Stock losses cost us money for replacements, freight, liability charges. This was the main reason that we ended up going with Agilon.
I see. So lots of different variables, lots of different issues going on around your day-to-day operations. So, you were looking at Agilon, you've been introduced to Agilon, but were you looking at other automated solutions, and what made you settle on Agilon as the right product for you?
We looked at various Cardex systems, the carousel type systems. We looked at, can we develop or can we look at new inventory software packages? And we looked at moving to larger premises or finding a second premise. But as soon as it was introduced to you and your Konecranes and Agilon, I think some of my key members of staff that sat and went through it with you some of the time, they were convinced it was right for us and offered us a solution to our issues. As I say, I think I was a bit skeptical when it claimed to solve all my problems and more. But to be fair, it's blown all my expectations out of the water. As I suppose the proof of the pudding's in the eating, Paul. That I think you're aware that no sooner as I had the one installed, that we went for another one and installed the second one.
I do. I remember it very well because I was summoned down to the office to sit in front of Glenn, and you know what a character he is. And he said to me, Paul, Agilon, and my heart was starting to go. And he said, we need another one. And that was probably some of the best news that I'd ever had, considering we'd only just literally finished installing the first one and got it operational. But it was a great experience for sure. So
well, that was, to be fair, Paul, that was all down to more staff, and it was a you know, a critical crossroads. Actually, that was. It's a very fair point that you mentioned. Because
yeah.
At the time, Glenn was in charge of our fasteners, and he went, I need more people in the warehouse, or shall I have another Agilon, because then I don't need more people in the warehouse. And that was what became of the choice: people or another Agilon at the time.
Yes, I remember him saying, I'm having a new warehouse member, and his name's Agilon, and we had a bit of a laugh about that. But you know, it was, as I said, it was a great conversation to have with Glenn at that particular time. So let me ask you a different question. So obviously we talked about, you know, the staff leading and feeling that, you know, Agilon was a good product, but overall, how did the staff feel once they knew some sort of significant change was coming? You know, how do people feel about Agilon today now that it's been in place and working for the last few years?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the staff on the shop floor, so to speak, I think they were scared that introducing automation might result in some job losses, and they were also really nervous about how much training they would need to use Agilon, how difficult it would be. So there was an air of nervousness at the time, but our staff, they really discovered quickly that after the system was installed, that it actually improved their working environment. You know, it really did. It provided them more time to have probably a more productive day, because there were many benefits. The staff cover each other, so holiday cover. Once they were trained on the Agilon, you could pick from it. So job rotation was really important, without the need of you know, technical ability to identify the parts or similar to that. I think HR, we also our HR department also received a lot of feedback that the picking process was so much cleaner and easier, less labour intensive, enabled all the staff to be involved in the picking process. Some are less able than others, as we all have, you know, that in our work environment. So it meant that anybody could go up to the hatch, so to call it, and pick products. So both HR and HS, you know, health and safety, reported less accidents, less days lost to aches, pains, back strain. Some of our parts were stored really high. As you can imagine, you've got to take every single bit of area in there. We were struggling for space, so we went as high as we possibly get. So what we had to either use aircraft ladders or forklifts to retrieve the parts we were picking. As you can imagine, really, you're not supposed to use ladders now. You've got to keep your hand on. So that really became a no. So you can imagine, if I was picking, or my people were picking 50 separate items, that might result in going to 50+ flow within my business. have been so much, far greater than we anticipated. And when we're still discovering the new ways in which software can benefit, the software that comes with Agilon,
Yeah,
how it can benefit our business.
sure. So with regard to the actual delivery of the solution itself, how was the implementation of the project done? And, did it meet your expectations? Did we cause disruption to the business and, cause you significant problems, or was it all sweet and wonderful?
I'd like to, as you were our main contact, I'd like to put you on the spot and say it all went a bit airy, but to be fair, it never. So I can't really get you with that one.
No, I'd like to hear that.
I said that you were our contact, that somebody had mentioned to us about it, and that's how the journey started. So the first point of contact was you for the initial inquiry.
Sure.
I think we sat down, you listened to our frustrations within our business, what our immediate needs were, and what the future, what was our future vision for our business.
Yeah.
So I think you brought the knowledge from previous installations to the party.
Sure.
So I think it was a lot easier for us because you could present all the viable options available. Can we do this? Can we do that? Would this work? Would that work? And you had all the knowledge, so it really helped in meeting what the requirements that we had. I think that although the planning and the project was a collaboration, I think that Konecranes team were the driving force. We really, once we'd told you what we need, we were able to put our trust in you and deliver. And you guys delivered the project start to finish. During the installation, we didn't really. Okay, you were there. There was a lot of banging and spanners and various bits and pieces and pallets, but in real terms, we didn't really notice that you were here. It was carried out. You carried it out on the days that we scheduled. It was completed ahead of schedule. There was no mess. It's a bit like, I remember looking at it, and it's a bit like building big Lego, isn't it, really? Meccano, the old Meccano.
It's a giant Meccano set, for sure.
Yeah, it's a massive Meccano set with a bit of brains behind it, or a lot of brains. And it went up really, really easy. So everything was, from the day that it arrived on I think it was quite a big lorry, wasn't it? So quite lorries. No, it was the project finished on schedule. It didn't prove any disruption to our daily business. It went really, really well, Paul.
That's great to hear. That is really great to hear. So, you've had the systems been, both systems now have been in place for a number of years. How have you found the ongoing support since, and is the level of service still there today? Are we walking the talk?
Yeah, well, I don't hear any complaints, put it that way. So if there were issues, I would hear people shouting and screaming. So I know you have a global technical support team that's available 24/7. It's very rare that we have to contact you because a lot of it's automated, isn't it? So behind the scenes, you're monitoring all our daily operations, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but behind the scenes, your guys are constantly updating the system remotely, checking how it's performing, and monitoring for any disruptions to our service. Even when we're closed, I think that you're behind the scenes doing what you guys do. I think
that's absolutely correct, Martyn. Yes, it is.
I think that having the automated service is really useful, because on the side of the Agilon, there's a big box that you can press and go, "Hi guys, I've got a problem," or "This isn't working." You know, is it the chat box you call it, Paul?
Yeah, we call it instant messenger. So the guys can hit that little radio button in the corner of the screen, and then a chat box window will appear, and they can talk directly to our technical support people in real time. And our support desk is English speaking. We follow the sun mentality, so they will always get somebody that speaks English.
And I think that for our staff, if they had to come in and dial a number and it was somewhere based around the world, that they would be probably a little bit more nervous of that.
Yeah.
They're in the warehouse. I'm not knocking them down in any way. They're all very, very capable. But if they suddenly have to go and find a phone and ring somewhere, they're probably less inclined to report an issue or something they're not quite happy with than if they can just press a button, because they've all got fingerprint login, so
yeah.
they're all available. The machines, the Agilon's available to them at all times.
Yeah.
So I think that the fact that they can go onto the chat box and go, "Hello, I've got a problem," it works. It really does. So as far as I'm concerned, the level of service, and I base it by what I see, what disruptions I get on a daily basis. I don't really get any, Paul. If there is a small problem, the guys sort it out. I never hear of it. Your updates are done on a night time, on a weekend. We don't see it. Sometimes if you come in the dark, as it's been happened, you can hear it trundling away and doing things. That can be a bit spooky. But no, as far as your global technical support team have been absolutely superb. So well done to them.
Well, that's really, really great to hear. And yeah, I've had a few phone calls over the years from customers who've walked into their shop floor areas during the dead of the night, and they phoned me because I try to be always available to customers to say, the Agilon's making lots of noises here. What's going on? And I tell them not to worry. It's either us doing some updates or it's self-optimizing the inventory based on your transaction frequency of picking. So, I've had a few panic calls like that over the years, but they're usually just us doing what we do. So, moving on. What was the outcome?
That's a big. Sorry, it's just interrupting. That's
of course.
One of the things that we noticed, and I know we've talked about stock and everything,
but
the machine knows, your guys, the Agilon knows that when we come in on the morning, that we're going to pick these parts, that we're going to have this part picked because we pick it every day, and it's recorded the history. When I come in early on the morning, I can hear it moving, and it's moving those items really close to the dispatch area in the machine. So the time is that it will pick it so much quicker. So that's quite that was a clever bit. When I used to sit there thinking, what's it up to now, and then realised that all it was doing was moving stock closer to the dispatch hatch. That's clever.
Yeah, it's a standard feature of every one of our systems that there are no predefined locations inside of Agilon, but we intelligently manage the stock inside based on your own picking frequencies. So it's actually a learning engine. So that's where the smart intelligence piece comes in. The storage and retrieval piece is what you'd expect it to do on the tin, but how we handle the inventory behind the scenes is where the magic happens. It's all designed to make the customer user experience as efficient as possible. Great, really good feedback on that, Martyn. Really happy for those comments. But moving towards sort of the outcomes. What was the result of the project, and what has been the impact of Agilon on your business, putting it right in the heart of your processes.
Yeah, we really have placed it at the heart of our processes, and it's made a massive, massive positive impact on the business. I suppose there's always, you've got to work out the return on the investment, and ultimately, is it worth the investment? So
Yes, of course.
just to sort of recap it, we had unreliability of stock information, incorrect stock information. So now we have real-time stock information that we can trust 100%. This is then fed to our materials management, and they use that figure, and they trust those figures. So the stocks that we needed to be sure were correct, the stock counts are really accurate and immediate. We highlighted about warehouse space.
Yeah.
We were just simply running out of space. So suddenly, from looking at another warehouse to reducing the footprint of our stock by putting it in an Agilon, perfect. Then we took out, we mentioned human errors. Many of our products, they really do look similar.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure the picker has the right product knowledge to ensure the part is picked. Using an Agilon de-skilled the role, so that was perfect for us, and meant that other people could now pick product that we couldn't allow them to do before.
Yeah.
And then it's the time saving. That if you've got to climb up and down racking and bring pallets down with forklifts, it's a bit easier if it comes to you.
Yeah.
So it was taking probably 4 or 5 hours a day to pick and assemble the amount of product we needed.
Yeah.
And that has a knock-on effect. Time costs money. It really does cost. Time is money, and we also, a lot of the time, we're given times that we have to deliver to our customer at a very set, a set time during the day. So we've got to be there. So that was particularly pleasing about the time that it took us to pick the product, assemble it. It was a big cost saving. So I suppose when you're coming back to cost savings and return on investment, as I said, I think I actually sat and worked out, and it wasn't till afterwards. So maybe I should have been clever and done this at the time, but I had Agilons because I had various issues of space, etc.
Yeah.
So I worked out what I think it saved me per annum in monetary terms. So if I didn't have the Agilon now, I would have gone and got myself another unit, which would probably cost me 60,000 in rent and rates. I would have looked for somewhere close to where I am. I would have, as we said before, I would have took on extra labour, maybe 1 or 2 people. So just being conservative, I'd say that I've saved £25,000 in warehouse labour because it's so much easier and quicker, and we've de-skilled the role. I don't need those extra bodies at the moment.
Sure.
Then we've got the hassle factor of not running out of stock. We know that our stocks are perfectly recorded in the Agilon all the time. It gives us the right report, so we know if we can see a stock out problem coming. We can try and do something earlier on rather than wait till it's too late, and then we end up doing air freights, and God forbid we stop the customer. That alone is how much can air freights cost me? My products are really heavy. So then being conservative, 10 to 15,000. So I think it probably saved us around 100,000 per annum. And I wouldn't have believed it. If somebody said to me, it's going to save you money, I'm going to say, how can a system save me that sort of money? But it has. So
it is actually ironic, you know, looking back at this particular case, that we, you know, we looked at the processes and we looked at the issue, but we didn't actually really focus on the return on investment. We just actually focused on the process and trying to address the issues in that. I suppose by definition, if you focus on, you know, the process and gaining the efficiencies that are possible, you know, with Agilon, then by definition you are going to save money, time and cost. So it's you know, Agilon is predicated, you know, as a continuous improvement, process efficiency gaining product. The fact that it stores and retrieves, you know, materials is really sort of just what it says on the tin, but it's the power of control and transparency of information and integration into the business process that is really where the, you know, the power of Agilon comes into its own in supporting customer development. So that's really great to hear, Martyn. So for me, what's next? You know, what does the future hold for Forward? 24 years in the bank, you know, what does the next 24 years hold? And you know, thoughts about Agilon in the future developments, maybe?
I think you're probably right. I think we'll probably be looking at a third system at some point. I think at the moment, though, and this is where I'm getting old now, you know, 24 years here, I'm getting seriously, there's still a bit of life in the old dog yet, though, but
yeah.
Where I need help and where I have to pass this over now, as you know, is that we really want to combine our stock reporting functions with all the internal softwares. So our software provider on our computer system needs to speak to you guys to try and take further cost out, to speed processes up even, you know, even further. So it really is about, have we used everything that Agilon has got that I don't think we have. It's a bit like sometimes we buy a telly and we don't know what some of the buttons do. Or, you know, some of our lads and ladies here now are starting to go, what if we could do this? And we're saying, great, speak to Paul or speak to Paul's clever guys behind the scenes, because and get our computer software guys to talk to them, because I think there's so much more we can do integrating our system. You know, I can see one day that we'll pick, the order will be picked with Agilon. It will come to the dispatcher, a robot will pick the box up, it will put it on a conveyor, which will go out to a driverless car and be delivered, and a human won't actually touch it, you know.
Utopia. Absolutely.
I can see the day coming. But I mean, that's obviously that's a while away, but I can see this happening, and I'm sure it already does with the likes of Amazon, and perhaps we're a little bit behind the likes of Amazon, but we are working and frantically trying to catch up. And I think that the amalgamation of your software to team and ours can improve our processes quite dramatically. Space again is becoming an issue, so that's why I think another Agilon might be on the books, but we'll have to talk about that and see how kind you can be to me going.
Well, you know, it's great that the businesses continue to grow and develop and you know, expand. So, you know, we as I said to you right from the get-go, we go on a journey with the customer, and you know, that journey is as long as it takes, for how long ever it takes. So we will always be there to help you when you're ready for that next step, or that next process question, development or initiative, whatever it may be. So I'm really excited and happy about what the future holds for Forward.
Well, I also think, though, Paul, that as you're probably aware, that we've already, some of our customers have come here and have seen Agilon working. And if we're selling them problematic parts for stocking, then they're going to have that, they can have that problem on their side. So I think some of our customers will be looking at replicating the systems that we've installed.
Yeah.
And when we can show them real time how it works, I think that our customers will be, well, we know that some already are talking to you, but more will, I think you'll see more talking to you
Sure.
when they've seen our system. So yeah, it's opening up a lot of channels in one way or another. And I think as part of the future, we like to bring people here and show people what we're trying to do, and just try and be a little bit different. I'm sure at some stage or another, the Agilon will be everywhere. So they'll say we've seen that, but
Yeah.
at the moment, people will still want to come and see it in operation and go, well, okay, we could use that.
Yeah, sure.
That's where we're at for our future. We'll be talking to you a lot, kind sir.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, great feedback. Just before we move on to the sort of the last question that I've got for you today, could I, as I said, we were running some polls. So Lowry, could you just launch the second poll for me, please? And audience, you'll be able to see that very shortly. So Martyn, could you just, because I'm tripping over my own tongue here now.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard lots of
coffee, Paul. I think that's what.
I've heard lots of good comments today. Just could you give me, a summary of your overall experience with Konecranes? I mean, obviously you've said we'll be talking in the future, but just capture what your overall experience has been for working with us.
Yeah, I don't want it to sound like an appreciation society. Paul,
yeah, of course.
But no, it's been really, our experience with Agilent, and I think that's why I was more than happy to speak about that we found of these products. It's been an absolutely fantastic experience from start to finish. It's a journey that keeps evolving. I think somebody said as the macro environment changes. So fair play, because as well as us, our customer needs change. Yes. So from the initial inquiry, starting to look at Agilent to where we are now, we have come a long way. And it's only been over the last few years, but it's clear that we've got more to exploit from Agilent. There's more integrations of our own software system, that we need to streamline it more, and that will give us more transparency of the information, and information, as you know, is king. So it's about joining our processes together. I think that Agilent has saved me money. It's saved me, it's undoubtedly reduced. And as we're still continuing to grow, I think we've grown 10-15% during the last year, which during COVID is pretty good. So I do think we'll be looking at a third system. So I think all in all, I've been blown away with what Agilent's brought to the business. And I'm really excited about what it still has to offer us. Although I will be passing that baton over to the clever IT people within my company. Sure. I won't be doing it myself, that's for sure, because as I say, I'm getting a bit tall for that one. But I think the journey, in short, journey's still progressing. I think some of my customers will buy into it, and all in all, we'll be talking to you and working together a lot closer moving forward.
Fantastic. Well, Martyn, from my part and on behalf of Konecranes, thank you so much for your time today and providing us such an excellent insight into your business. Obviously, you and I have got great history together, and it's really fantastic and great to see how Forward have embraced the change, management process, developed your processes along with Agilent, and from my part, most definitely, we wish you every success for the future, and thank you so much for your time today. Is there any final comments that you want to make, Martyn, before I close out the session?
Oh, I think I've done enough speaking today. I talk too much as it is, so I'll leave you to close it out, I think, Paul. But yeah. It's been so I've quite enjoyed this, even though I have to say I was a little bit nervous at the time.
Yeah, it's a bit like walking down memory lane for you and I guess. So it has been quite a nice trip. Looking at where we've come from collectively. But from me, again, thank you for your excellent responses. I think it's not an overstatement to say that Forward have been very happy with the experience of working with Konecranes, and I warmly thank you again for giving us such a valuable insight to your business and the way that Agilent has been supporting it. So thank you for your time again. So just before I close out, we've been running some polls, and I'd just like to take a minute to just pop them up on the screen, and let's have a look at what the results were of the two polls that we're running. So the first poll was what are the biggest challenges in a warehouse environment, and looking at the responses, it seems that the largest area is obviously incorrect stock information, which is something that obviously Martyn has covered extensively today in the session, and hopefully has provided some real good insight into how Agilent brings accurate integrity of stock information. The second point was human errors again, and then material shortages. So I would call those the sort of the standard inventory management issues, and I think that those three big segments there are very reflective of most processes that I see when I go in and consult with other customers. Let's have a look at the second one. So here the question was, what is the estimate of the total average cost of a single stock loss? And you can see here quite significantly, the estimate is around £100 based on the feedback that's been given. And I have no basis to argue otherwise. But typically, in my view, working with many different customers, looking at different processes, the cost of a single stock loss can be wildly dramatic. And I think Martyn gave a good example of where he's air freighting parts in. So the cost of a stock loss for some of his millions of identical items could be thousands and thousands of pounds, rather than a few quid from getting the part from the local maybe fastener shop round the corner. So but it's absolutely clear that stock losses create cost into the business, and again Martyn has highlighted through the session where those costs are mitigated away through the control that Agilent can bring. So thank you for the responses on the polls. I think there's some really good information there, and as I said, we'll be sharing those out. I assume that there have been a few questions. I'm guessing that we've already handled those, and if we haven't handled those, in the background, then we'll absolutely respond to you after the session when the materials are published as well. So from my part, dear audience, I would just like to thank you for your time today, and I hope that you found this third instalment of our customer experience sessions both useful and informative. We've been running some polls, as you've seen. We've captured those and we'll send those out. The session itself is recorded, and again you'll be able to review that once it's published. There will be a link available for you to follow up in our mail to you. I'd just like to finalise by saying once again thank you, Martyn, for your time. Chris, thank you very much again for your support, and all the background technology guys that have made this all happen today. My warm thanks to you as well for making it seamless and making me look professional for a change. And For you, the audience, I'd just like to say thank you so much again for your time and have a wonderful day. Take care for now. Thanks very much.